We do have some historic resources, the Midden mounds, and there's 12 of them on the island, as well as other things that tie back to the European settlements. But looking at the ordinance, it really doesn't handle that well at all in terms of requirements. When it talks about historic, it usually talks about structures. And so it's confusing. But I did note that for the Fife application, you did include a letter to the Maine Historic Preservation Commission and the tribes, which is, I think, the expectation that we do. And that's the only one of the three properties that I think could have had a midden on it, likely. Know that there were some middens on the south end of the island.
Yeah, that would be a logical.
Yeah. And the other places actually up towards the north end, we think that there was some up that way. But my recollection from when I had a map and I did the historic section for the comprehensive plan was that they were mostly towards the south and more, and areas again that were more flat.
Yeah.
So we have two out of the applications are extremely steep. So I don't think they would have been a good place for midden. So that's another aside about these. Any preferences of which ones we take up first? Anybody have a preference?
There's one for reconstruction, right? And there's two that are new.
Yeah.
You wanna do reconstruction first?
Reconstruction, that's the Barbara Cray application.
I thought so.
Um,
Can you tell me the map and lot on that, Jeff?
will when I get,
Although.
Should be right on the cover letter.
That's more of a 14.13.
Until you poke it or you feel it.
yep. April, are you now in drafting mode or still?
Not, but I can be. I'm not gonna try to draft findings of fact right now. I
Okay,
think we can do it from the record. And as long as, are you scribing the votes as people take them? I would take over. I mean, this is recorded at this point,
yeah.
so you don't have to.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I had a lot of things going on all at once here. So
And actually back up a second, let's just establish, we have a quorum, but who are the voting members? We count, I would tend to count John because he's there.
yeah,
John, are you okay if we count you as a voting member?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so that leaves all the rest of us except the lowest ranking alternate. Is
sorry,
that-
Nick.
Is that Nick?
We bumped you.
Sorry, Nick. Okay, again, means that you can speak and have an opinion, but we don't get to count your vote.
I have no opinion.
Okay. So with Barbara Cray's application, as a reconstruction of what was there, any questions about the application that Tim could address? You want it?
It's simply a reconstruction, not an expansion, correct?
Yep,
Mhm.
so, for the record, Tim Forster, flag catcher here on behalf of the applicant. So Barbara Cray, 139 Coveside Way, and they have an existing, set of stairs and landings and boardwalks that go from the house all the way down to the shore. The pier is functional, but, needs work. So we filed a permit by rule with DEP to replace that in kind. The requirements based on that are you can occupy the same endpoint of the pier, but you can now raise the elevation of it and extend it landward to reconnect to land. So DEP finally made that change just a couple of years ago. So the height of it is being increased a little bit to get it up above base flood elevation. So it does not protrude any further into the resource than currently exists. It just stems backwards a little bit further.
Does that mean it'll be less likely to get damaged in future storm surges?
That's the hope.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's a small, narrow pier. It's only 4 feet wide, 20 feet long, the same ramp and float. Kennebec Marine Service is the contractor, and So DEP approved it, the Army Corps, they. The federal government has sort of changed their tune recently, and the Corps is less present in a lot of the projects, a lot of the coastal projects. So now it's either non-reporting or PCN, which is just a notice to that. So this is just a replacement, and they don't even care.
John, we've just been joined by Gary as well, Gary Richardson.
Oh, good.
That's it.
Shall we move on to the criteria?
Is there any questions for Tim? Any other comments? Then let's go down the criteria. So there's 9 points. And the last point actually is in conformance with the provisions of section 15 land use standards, which is the specifics that are reflected in the applications. So the first criteria is will maintain safe and healthy conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
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 John, you want, good. Will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters. Aye.
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 Will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater. Not necessarily relevant.
Yeah, okay.
Aye.
Aye, yeah. Will
Aye.
not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat.
Aye.
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 Will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters. Aye.
Aye.
Will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. Aye.
Aye.
Will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a commercial fisheries or maritime activities district. And that's really not relevant.
Not applicable, aye.
All right.
Aye.
Will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. Again, aye, not relevant. And the last is in conformance with the provisions of section 15 land use standards. And so meet the construction standards.
It does. Aye.
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 So in sum total, we've gone through all the criteria and we have found that the application is compliant with the conditions. So I would move that we issue a permit for Barbara Cray for her replacement pier.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. The next one, why don't we do five?
Five.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same.
What's the map on that?
Yeah, the map is.
171,
It's
map one.
Map one, lot
Okay.
And this one here does have Army Corps of Engineers statement, as well as the letter to the Historic Preservation Commission. Gary, out of curiosity, do you know where down your way there, by your dad's side, the Shell Middens might be? I know there's one down that way at least.
I don't know exactly where it is. I know about where it is, but not specifically.
Okay. It's definitely not on the Fife property.
If you say so.
Okay, I don't know, but I saw no indication that that would be the case. And you got nothing back from the Historic Preservation Commission?
Yeah, and we actually do so much work on the shore, we're pretty familiar to recognize those, and we've actually worked with historic preservation on a bunch of like stabilization projects where, you know, shorelines got annihilated and middens were incredibly exposed, and we've actually worked to help bury them back up. So, which is, that's the interest of historic preservation, so.
And that's part of the reason that when upset tribes get notified as well, because you have to know those locations, I
Yep.
presume.
Yep, supposed to notify all five.
Yeah.
But not all of them respond. So,
John, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, Jeff, I paid particular attention to that too, and checked the maps and was, very attentive to the photographs, and I didn't see either in the maps or the photographs any evidence of any bedrooms.
Yeah. So Tim, do you want to do any introduction to this?
sure. Yep, so this is the Gene Fife, it's 7 Metzer Drive at the very southern end of the island. So Sheepshead River Mooring was the contractor for this. We worked to identify a piece within the property that could fit the dock. It's almost in the middle of the property. We avoided an area of salt marsh. And then the pier is able to pin the ledge the whole way. It's a 6 by 50 foot pier, 3 by 36 ramp, and then a 10 by 20 float, so pretty standard dimensions. And everything pins right to ledge, so. And then there is a float haul out as well, for seasonal storage of the float. The ramp can store on the pier, and then the float will be pulled over onto the haul out. This has been approved by both the DEP and the Corps of Engineers under DEP for an NRPA permit and then a PCN by the Army Corps.
On the haul out, so you've got a ramp to pull it up. I actually did go to the site today to take a look and see what it looked like. And the rocks in the shore are, well, it looked like there's like a lower area. But the angle didn't look like it matched what was here in the chart. So I wasn't quite sure where the ramp is going to be for the. Is it right next to and parallel to the?
It's not it's on the very first page. There's a
Yep.
picture of both.
Yeah, when I was looking at the rocks though,
Oh, yeah.
it didn't, it looked like you would have a different angle. To where it would, to keep the ramp relatively low. You know, it's the rocks aren't, there's a low area and then there's a high area to the right as you're facing the water.
Yeah, I'll have to look back at the pictures. It's been a while since I've been out there.
October 2024.
It's again plenty of distance from the abutters.
I think the issue is more that it's relatively flat. Out in front of where the haul out's gonna go, so. Like any of those haul out projects, you just have to time it right for, a super high tide. To get it in there and get it up onto the ways. So.
Yeah.
But that's where Ted said he wanted to put it, so.
When you said marsh, do you mean, is there a coastal bluff there? No, there's not many coastal bluffs on.
There is no coastal
Okay.
bluff.
And then I think I brought this up on this one last time. Was there ever a building permit for this that was filed with the town, or was that just scan missing?
One was sent over, I believe. I did not print it though.
No, I don't think we've got a copy of anything.
Oh,
Any of
the actual.
Yeah.
permit application is for the planning board,
It did
yes.
come through. Yeah, I have it.
Yeah, Ellie sent that to you guys.
Yes, and. Sorry, there's just a lot going on lately.
Did John ever get a copy of that, or did it just come to you?
Okay, there it is.
yeah.
Application for permit.
Yeah,
Of the
I don't know
permit.
who it was.
Yeah, the actual building permits.
Did we keep a physical copy in the office? Should we just have one printed out so we can?
I can print it right now.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
It was, yes, it went to John and I was copied.
Okay.
I will print it.
Thank you.
So do you wanna talk about the criteria? Do you want any comments before we?
Well, I have, like a kind of maybe a teaching moment, so with. So this is a little over an acre, um. How are peers looked at as far as like lot coverage?
How years looked at as lot coverage.
Are they not
Beyond the
considered?
High tide line, it's not lot coverage.
Okay,
Or the intertidal zone.
as I said, might be just a teaching moment, but I wanted to see, just that was feeding into future things I was considering with the lot coverage that we were discussing. That's it. The only thing that I wanted to, that I thought that was missing was the air permit, but it looks like we have it, we just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And now unfortunately, we've lost April. She's gonna get to the printer. Yeah. So just a sec before we go. Did anybody else go to visit the site?
No, I didn't realize we were doing that anymore.
No, well, we didn't have a site visit, but I always felt like I benefited from seeing the lay of the land.
Do we need permission from the property owners for that, or?
Well, I didn't ask.
Oh.
I assume they wanted their permit. And I think it's a reasonable thing to visit someone's property.
Well, I'm just asking, like, if I do stop by unannounced next time, what do I say? Put a planning board sticker on my head or something?
Maybe if you're knocking on the door,
I don't
yeah.
know how it is at the town level and the state level, by submitting an application, you ask the state right to access your property to review it. I don't know if you can fall under that same standard,
The legislation says that's the case, but guidance says you should always.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this case, there's nobody there at the Fifes. And I didn't stop at Barbara Cray's. I actually know Barbara Cray's property, but I did stop at is it Gwynn?
Yep.
As well, and there's nobody there because it's not inhabited yet. There's no structure.
Did you get all the way down to the shore?
I did.
Did you?
I did. Quite a ways, and that looks. Well, like half the lot is clear cut. There's a tree here and there, but it's pretty much all gone.
Yeah.
So the lower half of the lot, and but with all the chips down and enough brush still there, I'm not too concerned about erosion.
Mhm.
But it still surprised me, and I didn't know, that was maybe kind of a question I was gonna bring up, Gary, is just the amount of cutting. We still have some limitations on,
And the 250-foot buffer, yes?
well, again, it's hard to measure when you have something like that, just how far away you are from the water. So, but that was a lot of cutting.
It's even harder to measure, it's 40% volume of the trees, 8 inches. Right?
Oh, the diameter,
Yeah.
10-year period.
Yeah.
But if the stump.
Basil area too, it's the way they
Yeah.
define it, so.
But it's a narrow lot, and I could see the property lines marked because there were no trees blocking visibility of that, and it's almost terraced down to get to the shore. I know we're digressing because we're waiting for.
It's quite a bit.
As Gary said, the good lots are far and few in between. They're getting down to the steep ones, so. Did we lose her to the printer or did we lose her to the? Like, shutter over there?
Going into the black hole of the solid one.
Mm. Oh, yeah, the warrants are supposed to be released, right? Or are they? Yeah,
I haven't seen
no, I haven't seen them.
The other thing about the Gwynn property was that it's a relatively narrow waterway that it's going out into. So you've got the Tyler Islands just off of it. And it's going out about 100 feet. So I know it's got all the okays, but it still seems like, boy, that's gonna be a prominent feature. As I kayak through that in that neck of the woods. They go going back to the point, we're ready to proceed with the criteria.
Yes.
So again, we make finding based upon the proposed use, it will maintain safe and healthful conditions.
Aye.
Aye,
I,
okay. Will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation in surface waters. Aye. Will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater. Really not relevant. If I say that, we agree that it's not really not relevant.
Vote or not?
Well, let's say that it's not an issue. It's okay.
Not applicable?
Not applicable, yeah. Will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters. Aye.
I,
Will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. Aye. Will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a commercial fisheries or maritime activities district. Then it will not.
Mhm.
It's
Aye.
really not applicable, aye. Will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. Aye, aye, there we are, I thought you might be there. Yeah,
Sorry about that.
okay,
John, I'm gonna
That was
keep you
me
on
last
this
week.
so we don't get feedback.
Hard.
okay, the last point is in conformance with the provisions of section 15 land use standards. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so with that, I move that we issue a permit for the Fife application.
Second.
So it's moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye, okay, so we're good with that one. John, do you want to take over?
oh,
Great.
Well,
Yeah, taking that off.
okay, so then the third and last is the Gwynn property we started talking about. And John, I don't know if you heard, I was just saying, I did visit that property as well today. And it's steep to get down to. Part of the application is talking about having stairs and makes absolute sense. But that's a part that the code enforcement officer permits. And it's not really the planning board's review. So go ahead, you want to present them?
So this is the proposed dock for David Gwynn at 25 Plummer Road. It's out on the backside of Gill Cove.
That's great. This is fun.
And it, as you said, it is a very steep site. You come down through the driveway, it's currently undeveloped. They're working on a house lot. They're a good portion of the property has been cut already, but you get down to the top of right to the edge of the bank, and then it goes downhill quick. And it's all ledge, for the most part, and then even when you get down to the shoreline, you know, there's broken fallen ledge, rockweed covered ledge, and that transitions into mud flats. So the tricky part of this one is really the stairways, which is, again, is not the board's jurisdiction, but just to describe it, you know, they'll construct a couple of wooden landings and then have pre-made aluminum stair runs that will connect those. How they get those in place and installed, I do not have the answer. But I would like to watch, I think, the helicopter to do it. Or a really big crane. The only other alternative is, I guess they would drill it in, you know, sections. You put the stringers in and then you could put the stair treads in, but if it's aluminum. I don't know if it's welded or bolted, but the property owner is addressing that on his end. Is an architect, so he's working on some very finer details of that. Once you get down to the shore, then we decided to do two small pier sections. The very bottom one is really a landing for the last run of stairs, and then that will connect with an aluminum pier section. Just because it's lighter, easier, and then we'll have a very short 6x12. More traditional pier out on the end, which fits nicely into some of the ledge that's up there. And then a fairly long ramp, a 50-foot ramp. But that's really just indicative of trying to keep the pier as short as possible and as close to the upland as possible. In a lot of cove areas, not so much this year, but in prior years, you can get a lot of ice. So we try to keep, any permanent structures less exposure in ice areas. So it's easier to shorten up the pier and pull it back, and it's less susceptible. It's cheaper to extend a ramp than it is to build a pier as well. So it's an advantage there. And then a standard 10x20 float, there's skids on the float. The backside of it will sit on flats on negative tides, but on zero drain tide, it should just barely touch. So even though it's, as you were saying, a slightly longer structure, it doesn't really protrude out into the resource any further than it needs to. I mean, we're right just beyond low water where the float lands. So I don't consider that a navigational issue. So, and this one as well, it has been approved by DEP, so.
That is a long, I call it game plan.
The gangway, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 feet is, so 40 is pretty standard these days. 50 feet is not completely uncommon. I would say, maybe 90% of the ones that we do are a 40-foot gangway, and then, some of them are a little bit longer. You go any longer than 50 and it becomes a little bit of a structural issue, and the weight of that is problematic for the floats, and then also just the install and takeout. It's a big thing that move around.
Yeah, I wanted to get a longer one for ours, but the short. They decided that for a. Arrow.
Yeah,
That's. Zero.
yeah.
Headers.
Yeah.
And then pull that one, does it fit on the other gangway?
Hope so. Yeah, there's.
They're the same width though,
We
aren't
have 27, it's now, it's a 4-foot pier on the upside. It's 3 foot wide for the gangway, so there's 27, 37, 38, 39.
Hang over.
Yeah, but it can hang out over the field.
they? And there's no haul out on this one. The type will just
Pull it off. There's no logical place to build one. I was kind of surprised they were not built over here. Because they access to it.
Get a workout just getting down there.
Oh, you do, yeah. We were careful. Something broke down.
So are you saying this is no longer forested?
That's right.
All of it?
From the access point where they have their little driveway coming off of the Bummer Road down to the shore is all cut. There's tree here and there. So there's still some trees there, but mostly it's been cut, and you've got the chips spread around.
Within the shoreline zone?
Not within the shoreline zone. Don't say, I can't tell, it's difficult to tell when you get down to the edge of the
Right,
shoreline zone.
yeah.
So I didn't,
Shoreline zone offers.
Pictures, it is still forested where the dock is down below, going up the slope until you get to the top of the slope, and a little ways back.
Yeah.
So,
about 20 feet back.
yeah, so that's your 75-foot area there where the cutting is a little more restricted, between 0 and 75. It's much more restricted.
Right.
You can remove, but then between 75 and 50, that's where the 40% will be, so like.
But I didn't try to figure out what the
Yeah.
footage was.
Right.
I know it's not our jurisdiction, but the walkways now, is aluminum, is that a unusual material used for those? Are you seeing much?
Not very often. Yeah. I've seen, I think, two other places where aluminum gangways have been used. Make that sense.
I suppose
These
it's,
are state, so.
Yes.
I've never seen.
Guessing, don't wanna have to upkeep, wood or,
Darn land.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the upkeep and not wanting to have to go back and do it again.
Right.
And the logistics of trying to build it, get it in there.
Finding a carpenter.
Yeah, Well, it's sloppy, and the little tow road.
Right.
The feel of the property really is terraced. I mean, it's kind of like, almost like ramps like this. So I could almost see someone on a four-wheeler going down this way to get down closer to the top of the,
But not going back up again.
well, that's tough. But, so I'm curious to see how they actually get the stairs in. But I could understand why they want stairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious where they end up putting the house.
So the setbacks look healthy, and that's something we often look at, right, to ensure that the setbacks are at least 20 from the sidelines, okay.
20 feet.
Yeah, okay, and I saw that on the other one, it's a little tighter on that one, but still made it. So I'm ready to move on to the criteria if everybody else is.
Yep, everybody good?
Mhm.
Okay, then going back to our criteria, we're saying that, the proposal, will maintain safe and helpful conditions. All those in favor? Aye. Will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters. All in favor?
Aye.
Will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater. All those in favor? Aye. Will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat. All those in favor?
Aye.
Will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters. All those in favor?
Aye.
Will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. All those in favor? Aye. Will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a commercial fisheries maritime activities district. All those in favor? Aye. Will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. All those in favor? Aye. Is in conformance with the provisions of section 15 land use standards. All those in favor? Aye. Then I'd like to move that we issue a permit for the Gwynn property. All those in favor, or is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay,
Very good.
yeah, I mean, the applications are super, I mean, I know kids want to break up, so.
That was us.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't have any reservations about that, but. Although I missed that, here's the way that I enjoyed it out there. See other parts of the islands and, it's smooth around a little bit, but that, the application's great. I think, we should, well, following our process of, share the sites, and, but one thing that I was interested in, because obviously we're, we know the contact that's working on these.
That's doing two of them, and that green is doing great.
Okay. We don't really have eyes for work, but what that looks like, how that's performed. And, folks, we know Ted, and I guess we know Ted that's a little bit, but anyway, this is a general matter I throw out there. might be some interest in having eyes on it at some point in the process, so. That's something we can talk about later, but, I think it would entail talking to you, having some communication with the contractors, when would be the appropriate time to see what's going on. And maybe nothing more than just going back to the point that helps all the place out.
Yeah.
Because there's, as you say, it'd be fun to watch them do some of these things that, from our perspective, in terms of stewards of shoreline zones, be really interesting to see how that works.
Yeah, I think in general, there's just each site is different, but there's sort of a bag of tools that they show up with.
Yeah.
And you hopefully pick the right tool for the right job while you're there. And if it's into ledge, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
I think the things that I've observed over the years are, how are they accessing it? How are they getting their materials there? Are they removing vegetation that they shouldn't remove? And then if they're into some salt marsh areas or something like that, how careful are they with those installations?
Yeah.
Like it's really more so the shoreline stabilization jobs where things go south. Seen a lot of marsh impacts from barges and contractors and they're usually, hopefully, well, they should always be putting timber mats down and things like that, but I don't think Westport really suffered much on the shoreline damage compared to other places in the state.
Yeah, the very south end got hammered pretty good, that bank, and got undercut, they lost like 3 feet of, 3 feet of.
In some spots,
Yeah.
but not compared to like the rest of
Actually,
it.
right around the corner from this one.
Oh, yeah.
They got hammered pretty good,
Huh.
those cottages right down on the point.
Yeah,
We got undercut.
from Fife. Yeah, I can see that. That's a little more exposed. So,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
All right, yeah, well, for future discussion, because I just had my mind's eye, heavy equipment running around, pushing dirt around, but I don't think that happens really.
No, it doesn't.
It's-
In most of these sites, the contractors will come in by water,
Yeah,
because they can come in on a high tide and offload and stage their materials.
Yeah.
And that's a lot easier than trying to carry it down from the upland.
Yeah. Fun and interesting and educational, but actually.
I had one question with the changes that you're making to the ordinance or procedures. Will those involve these changes or is this just procedural?
Just procedural at this point. I don't know if it will involve ordinance changes. I think we would need to discuss more as a group. I had proposed maybe taking the select board out of the process through an ordinance change at some point, but it would have to be.
I remember years ago, there was one project, someone wanted to do something and the language about common docks, is a little unique in the town's ordinance. I'm just remembering it, but there's a section that talks about if you wanted to, share a common dock or something like that, and then it talks about how the next property over, I'm not getting it correct, but
Yeah,
it's very confusing language and it just doesn't seem appropriate, honestly.
Right. we have a funny section that isn't in the DEP model. That is
Yeah.
about abutters agreeing to place the dock closer to the
Yeah,
property line, which I thought was odd because that property is gonna get sold, those abutters are gonna change and
yeah.
the next guy might not want your pier or ramp right on top of his property. So I'm not sure what the history is, but
I
Yeah.
can tell you.
I figured that might be the case, Gary.
It was from a specific application up at, on the North End Road. Andy Cromwell was the contractor. And he couldn't find a spot to get that pier that met the setback, so he came to the board. At the time, and said, look, we've got an agreement with a butter. You know, is there any way we can make this work? So we had to craft this whole scenario in order to allow that type of thing to happen. And it kind of made sense if you've got two abutting landowners that wanna share a pier.
Right.
You know, put it right down, you know, right either centered on the property line on one side or the other. It made perfect sense, but it, you know, in property transfers, then it can become problematic.
Yeah, I mean, that all made sense, but the language takes it one step further. There's something else in there, and I don't know if you have a copy of it, but, or whatever.
I remember something about reading it, but I wasn't focused on that, so I don't remember where it was. Maybe
Yeah.
in the standards, section 15, but I'm not sure where.
That's probably never been
It's-
applied since.
Yeah.
So it was, no, it hasn't. So you're probably talking about if that pier gets built, that joint, that shared pier gets built, neither one of those other properties can have a second pier.
Yeah.
Unless there's like an additional pier or something, and then they can have a second pier.
Yeah, I'd have to see it. I found it very quirky.
We'll take a look, you flag it, we'll take a look.
Keyword
at
is
it.
common duck, right?
But yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I
that
can
all,
search it
that
that
all
way.
makes sense, and it's supported at the state level.
Mhm.
And if they
Yeah.
get an agreement between the two property owners, if they do decide to sell, then it's known before the new person
Right.
buys it.
Right,
But to answer your first question, there was no requirement for site review. So our policy, our change, isn't changing the ordinance, it's just a policy.
Right.
Had grown up from somewhere, but, an agreeable one, apparently on everyone's part, because it was fun to do. It was a field trip that everybody enjoyed.
We can still do
Except
that.
in bad.
They're just optional, so we might
Yeah.
opt out in January, but.
It was-
we just might need like planning board faster hat so we don't get shot at.
Well,
That might
hopefully
cause
people don't shoot. Let's hope our neighbors are not so, trigger happy. I, just on that scenario, though, one question more to Gary is that rather than changing the ordinance. Couldn't we just do a process of variance? If you have property owners agreeing and say, okay, yes, it doesn't meet the terms of the ordinance. But couldn't it go to the Board of Appeals as a variance after you deny the permit?
Good, but the Board of Appeals shouldn't approve it because it's not truly a hardship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, good point.
Shared dock sounds nice. You like your neighbor.
Do adjourn?
One other little thing, I'm sorry.
That's right, thank you very much.
We're done.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah. No, cause I did do more of a deep dive in this than I thought I was going to originally. Part of it was because I was looking at how we handle the historic resources. And was surprised at how little there was there. And the only reference, when you go to a definition talking about historic and archaeological resources, it just talks about structures, basically. Look at the definition. So when we get back to working on this, I think I have an action item to work on how it handles things, because it doesn't work it out with middens at all. Cellar hole maybe would be covered by this, but a midden doesn't pay any attention.
Yeah.
And the definition of what's historic is, it's all structures.
Huh,
So
these stone guys
could fall
It should, yes. In the comprehensive plan, they do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't read that way here.
We can take a look at it, because in our work for the ordinances, I think structures include, the definition of structure does include piers, docks.
Well, I was
Go back.
really focused again because of the shell middens.
Oh, no, I get it.
Yeah,
I totally
yeah.
get it. There's no reason to not add that to the protection.
Well, just fix it, because the only thing in here is it's historic structure. That's what the definition gets down to, it's a historic structure. And we need to talk about other resources besides structures that are historic.
is there like folklore on the island if they're being shell middens?
Though we know that there are 12.
Oh, wow.
The Historic Preservation Commission, there was research done in the 80s. And they actually
Mark on
mapped
the
them.
map somewhere?
Not ones that we share. And I couldn't tell you.
There are maps.
Yeah, but they kind of keep it close to the vest just because they don't want people going and checking them out.
I have a quick question. So we voted to recommend that Susan's glyphosate ordinance go on the warrant.
Yes.
And we're preparing the draft warrant. And I just wanted to make sure it was appropriate to write recommended by the select board under those amendments.
For the pesticide. right?
Yes,
Oh, yeah. That's what
okay,
we voted.
that was the vote. I
Yeah.
thought so, but I wanted to make sure
The
before.
planning board, the select board would be separate.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're gonna keep their hands off it, basically, and
Okay.
we weren't quite sure what to do, but
Yeah.
If you you see the draft right now, I didn't put anything in because I wanted to make sure first, but I will
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Did we, like, this is where we need the minutes, I thought we actually voted to. So that we were putting
We
it
did,
forward.
we did, but I wasn't quite sure if it was recommended by us, or if we were recommending that the select board put it on the warrant, or if we wanted to actually recommend the amendment itself. I was a little unclear, and I know in the past, I think we've put recommended by the planning board, below those, so. But I just want to make sure with you all, that was also your understanding.
Yes.
that I did that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so the draft warrant is out, everybody.
Oh,
who's
cool.
interested.
Right.
It's on,
Right.
the website in a couple places, it's on Facebook, and it's on the calendar item for the warrant preview and feedback sessions, so.
Start
They're
out.
supposed to make tomorrow.
Yeah, review of the warrants. is it on it?
Two, one tomorrow night and then one the next week, or is it Tuesday?
Yeah, yeah, and I,
Following Friday.
if, so the only, land use amendment is Susan's, of course. I don't think it rises to the level of a zoning amendment that requires a hearing. That's something that really like substantively changes a zone. And so since this is more land use and we aren't changing the zones at all or adding restrictions to zones, I don't think it requires that special hearing that you normally would have to have. Wouldn't hurt for some planning board members to be there if you can make it though. I don't, so I guess what I'm saying is I don't think we need a quorum in like an official hearing, but probably some of us to at least speak to it would be
Make it
helpful.
Two.
The preview session,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow and then the week from Friday.
and then, yeah, Friday the 22nd. And I have a concert for my son, so I can't make it tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What time is it? Set,
It's at 6 o'clock,
set the time off.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was planning on being there.
5:30 dinner. Well, did we hear anything more from Verizon?
Oh, about the tower?
Yeah, we asked for,
I haven't heard anything.
we asked for printouts before the meeting or something.
Yeah, he said he was gonna reach out in 10 days or a couple of weeks.
Okay,
ahead of the meetings.
and what exactly did they wanna do again and where?
They wanna put up a new tower adjacent to the existing tower down on Post Office Road.
Oh, so not removing the old tower, putting in
Not that I'm aware of.
a new one,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
All
well,
they told me was that the existing tower doesn't meet their needs, so they were proposing to put in another one. Adjacent to it,
A taller one.
Taller one, yeah,
there's no guy like.
with no guy wire,
Just
Yeah, freestanding.
fix in the ground.
and by sticking, by sticking in the, sticking in the ground.
You consider the foundation for that,
Yeah.
another foundation.
It'd be a big deal, well, it'd be just like drilling a well.
Mm.
Sticking a straw down there, I guess.
Permit.
And
So
some,
how far do they think they're gonna drill? But so
we'll see,
That's what you're gonna see, yeah.
for something like that, it comes to planning board, but does it ultimately go to the town? No? Mhm. Do they have to notice for something like that? Do they have to notice the butters? For commercial activity?
it's,
They have to follow the site plan or.
Okay, so that's what we're doing. That's what our purview, okay, is under the site plan
So
ordinance,
this meeting in June is just a pre.
a pre-app meeting, gotcha. Okay, do we have any other follow-up or old business?
well, we had nothing else on the agenda, right?
Yeah, unless you have something.
We're gonna have a short meeting.
Yeah, good.
Oh,
Hey.
Move to adjourn?
so sorry, sorry I was late. I was meeting with a client and our meeting went to 2.5 hours, so I wanted.
Oh, my goodness.
So the findings of that for these applications are gonna follow the
Yeah.
whole procedure that we generated and published and posted as usual.
Yeah, I'll be happy to put that together.
Yeah, and then
The
we'll,
select board's license is in the works, I presume.
they voted on it. I have not prepared a license. Um. The ordinance says the select board does a permit.
I
So,
noticed that in the.
and they voted to issue a permit. So, but if you, do you need the documentation for like the state or something?
It's a requirement in the ordinance, so I have to document it before I issue the permit.
Okay, yep,
Well,
get you something.
non-protected to today, so.
Good deal.
Cool. Thank
Thank
you.
you.